Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. The date is, well, you already know. This is a bit of a redo episode, a bit of a fixer-upper. This is for the July 9th episode. I want to say a special shout out to the homie Ryan, the bestie. I did not fully check my shit. In fact, I didn't check it at all this weekend. I've been busy. I've been chilling, and just hey, I finally had time, and I got the message, and I was like, shit, okay. So definitely want to give credit where it's due. Thank you. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do essentially a reshoot of that. I will say though we're gonna skip the main story that I had started off with, at least in terms of the first story. I shouldn't say main story, but that was the shoe factory in the shoe factory fire in China. That was from the Associated Press. I guess I'll just at least, do the highlight real quick. A shoe factory fire that killed 28 highlights China's persisting worker safety risks. Authorities were investigating a blaze at a shoe factory in southeastern China's Fujian province that killed 28 people, raising renewed concern over worker safety. There's more, there, but I essentially did get through all of that. This is where it got cut off, was about, I think, maybe halfway through this article. This is from the Associated Press. Tornadoes and storms in central China kill at least 11 people. Now I got a little bit ahead of myself there. We're gonna go ahead and do our usual startup all the same. Why not? That's tradition. Obviously, the whole preamble about me being stinky and the personal blah blah, that's in the that part got recorded, so no need to go through that horror, that Hollywood ritual. um okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and read this out. At least read a little bit more, maybe. Tornadoes and storms hit central China, killing at least 11 people and injuring hundreds. State media reported on Tuesday, while areas in the south suffered record-breaking rain. Thunderstorms battered parts of Hubei's province's eastern region on Monday night, affecting 14,600 people. The official Xinhua news agency reported more than 330 people were injured and one person remained missing, the agency said, adding that over 20 houses collapsed and 4,800 others were damaged. A rare EF2 tornado swept through the city of Hungang, where a logistics company and a warehouse were hit hard, and multiple trucks were lifted and displaced by winds as much as 30 meters or 98 feet, Xinhua reported. All right, we're going to go ahead and leave that story there. Moving on to our next story from The Guardian. ICE agent fatally shoots motorist during traffic stop in Houston. A federal immigration agent fatally shot a driver in Houston on Tuesday morning, the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Agency, or ICE, has said. Agents stopped Lorenzo Salgado Araujo at 6:50 a.m. and tried to arrest him, according to ICE, which described Salgado Araujo as a Mexican national and an illegal alien whom the agency was seeking as part of a targeted enforcement operation. His son, Ronaldo Salgado, told Telemundo Houston that his father had been out that morning looking for workers in the area. According to ICE, Salgado Araujo weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run over an ICE law enforcement officer. The confrontation resulted in our officer firing his weapon in self-defense. At this point, we really only have hearsay evidence of that. There's not been any kind of body cam footage. In fact, to the contrary, we've heard witnesses saying, no, that's not what happened. That's not what Araujo was doing with his vehicle at all. He wasn't trying to run over anyone, yet he was murdered. Or shot. I guess you pick the verbiage there. Let's see here. Also, this matches a pattern, which they go on to say as well, in terms of just like the killing of Renee Good. There's also the killing of Alex Breddy. And one doesn't involve a vehicle, but essentially the same kind of situation where ICE is saying, hey, we're just following our own protocol here, which is like, yeah, your own protocol is to kind of kill at will, which in a lot of ways I mentioned when I was trying to record this initially is very akin to just what default law enforcement does. And not to mention, this isn't necessarily in the article, but I have heard stories of, even though there's not supposed to be this cross pollination between, local law enforcement and ICE, you do see it. And it is becoming even more of an issue because, once again, like, yes, these two are operating, they're not supposed to be operating together, but yet they will. They definitely, like, once again, cross pollinate. And you have the situation where you now have a cop who's going to move like an ICE agent. And essentially it's like, no, you don't have the power to do that. But it's like, all I do is a cop and I'm going to kind of use them both. And it's like, cool. So you really are just body snatching people. Or in this situation, killing people at will. Being judge, jury, and executioner. Saying, yeah, you don't belong here. And because of that, I can just delete you. And that's what's supposed to be okay. We're getting rid of all the bad ones. And really, speaking of the bad ones here, Salgado Araujo is just a person who is working. Is just a person who is saying, "Hey, I'm with." I think at the time it was with his brother, and they were looking for other people to get a job done. And essentially, he was killed, and then his brother, what is it, Ronaldo Salgado's uncle, was disappeared essentially, taken into some kind of deportation facility, and now you can't even track him. They can't even find him. They can't contact him. And isn't that a great witness to say, hey, what happened here? Well, you can't even get his side of the story because we don't know where he is. So I mean, sadly, this is par for the course. These kind of moments highlight the issue, but this has just been going on every day. I know there's been bigger highlights in terms of just like new headlines, Trump doing this with the war and Iran and and yeah, I think the straits closed again. I don't fucking know. All I know is my gas is still up and I'm not liking it. But anyway, I'm getting in the weeds here. That wasn't really pertinent to the episode. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our last bit. And who knows, maybe I did miss, but I feel like these were the four stories. So, and once again, mea culpa, I appreciate people who, even though I fuck up an episode, will still tune into the next one. You're a real one. You're a friend, and I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and take my last break, and we'll close it out with some Costco news. Costco lawsuit, if you will. Oh man. I'm burning a little bit of the mid-eyed oil here, I think. Just a little bit, but should be good. Ugh. All right, this isn't initially where I got the article the story from, but this is from People. Class action lawsuit alleges protein powder sold at Costco contains dangerous levels of lead. A group of people has filed a class action lawsuit against Costco, alleging that a protein powder brand sold in its stores contains several dangerous heavy metals, including lead. The lawsuit, filed by a group of 7 people in U.S. District Court of Western District of Washington in Seattle on Tuesday, July 7th, alleges Orgain organic protein powder products are the source of the alleged heavy metal contamination. In the lawsuit obtained by People, the plaintiffs claim that Costco violated the Washington Consumer Protection Act. It further alleges that the product's claims can be made with quality ingredients and higher standards, and to provide good, clean fuel, and not true and misleading to consumers. Heavy metals are known to pose significant and adverse health risks and consequences to humans, the lawsuit claims. It is well recognized that there are no safe levels of human exposure to any of the heavy metals, including cadmium and lead. The plaintiffs are demanding a jury trial and are seeking benefit of the bargain damages, restitution, and or diminution of value in the amount pending the outcome of the trial per the lawsuit. Let's see. Orgain maintained that its products are safe in a statement shared with the Seattle Times. While trace amounts of substances that occur in the environment can be present in plant-based ingredients, our products comply with applicable food safety standards and guidance, the statement read. We stand behind the safety and quality of our products. Now, I didn't have this quote when I read whatever article I got it from previously, but I did remember that I think around 2023 that there was a study or something that came out and like it kind of had sparked this conversation, and when like pressed for comment, essentially this wasn't necessarily Costco, but big brands were saying, hey, there's a chance potentially that there's like some small, very minuscule amount of some kind of toxic material or whatever, but we're saying we're doing the best we can to keep that at an absolute zero. Like we are meeting utmost regulations and standards to make that happen. We don't think it's happening, but sure, maybe, whatever. Like we can entertain that conversation. Like that was as close as I think as that they were getting to saying, hey, maybe there's a little bit of lead in your protein thing or this thing or that thing, whatever. So I found that interesting at the time, and it seems like people are kind of running off of that information and saying, hey, we got to stand up and stop this, or at least get some kind of restitution to, call this out or whatever. So, I think it's a noble endeavor. I maybe didn't say that exactly in the initial run of this, but I also said that like I personally like obviously you don't want to see this shit, and I'm happy to see people contend and fight over this shit. I know I said that, but like I know I'm a person who buys and this is unrelated in a way, but you got to walk with me. I get creatine. I use creatine every day or whatever, at least 6 days out of the week, whatever. I try to be on it, but I get cheap ass creatine from Walgreens. Now, I would hope and expect, or the best is being taken into this product, and that there's no harmful toxins or whatever, and we're all good. And most people are going to tell you, experts are going to tell you, creatine's fine for you. You don't have to worry about it. But me personally, in the back of my mind, I always think there's probably a chance that there's some kind of fucked up shit here. Something's maybe low-key fucking me up a little bit. But I'm sure that's not the first and only time I'm getting some kind of lead or some kind of bad chemical, in my mix. I have microplastics in my balls. Like, we know this. This is just canon. Okay? So, what I'm saying is, me personally, I'm not thinking about it too hard. I'm not worrying about it too hard. But I appreciate people are saying, no, that's not okay. I'm not going to take that line down. I'm going to take Costco to court in this situation. So it's actually a full kudos to them. So you just had to walk with me. Anyway, there's more details about it. The whole, Consumer Reports project, yada, 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 boo, boo. But I gotta go. This is a short, sweet episode. Just wanted to do a reshoot, if you will, a redo. Thank you for bearing with me. I really appreciate it. I'm not even gonna shill. I shouldn't have actually, now that I think about it, I shouldn't have shilled in the previous episode, because that's Sunday and I'm not supposed to do that. I was a bit off for that. My bad. Prayer emoji, knee emoji, you know what I mean. I'm on all fours. Just imagine that. In sorrow and forgiveness. Okay, anyway. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.